So I'm going to speak about user experience and mainly my approach of design, which might be different from anyone because I think anyone does have actually a different approach of design. Just a bit about myself. So my name is Adèle Poirier and I'm a user-centered designer, and I'm doing mainly graphic design, interior architecture, and service design, and a lot of other things. I like design. But my background is the following. I've done drama and studied drama and scenography because I really enjoyed embody a character and knowing about the feeling of people and just understanding how people work and think. I've done a bachelor degree in interior architecture because I was really interested into the idea of how can we live in a space and how people behave in a space. Also, sensorial marketing, or can actually smell and colors can influence the behavior of people. And then I've done a master's degree in design management and innovation in Shanghai, where I studied more user-centered design and innovation design. And but mainly I'm a designer and I always wanted to be a designer. And I had my own vision of design, my own definition. And I wanted to be a designer to solve problems of the everyday life, to actually create new things using my creativity and imagination to create new things and help people. I wanted to really improve their experience of life, improve their life, and improve their experience also of a business. And through the internship I've done and the jobs I've done, I just didn't find this approach. I couldn't find this approach of design that I had when I was younger and when I wanted to do design. And so I started to look for. I just realized actually that they weren't calling that design. They were calling that user experience, user-centered design, design thinking, human-centered design, everything you want. I was calling that just design. That was my definition of design. And so I just decided to start to dig into those words and trying to find the definition of those words. So I'm starting with user experience. What is user experience? Well, it's actually been used by Don Norman, who is now the leader of the most important company of user experience design, and he was the vice president of Apple. And so he defined user experience as the overall interaction of anything all the touch points you can have with the business. So it's not only digital, it's about everything you can experiment from a business and from the product they have, the services they offer. And so the first time I heard about user experience, it was an interaction design student who was speaking to me, and he was, I'm a user experience designer. I was like, well, user experience is just not your thing. He thought he was like just for digital, but I was thinking I'm actually a designer, so I'm working for the user experience. And so we actually misused user experience into the digital because I actually don't know why. But the idea is that we misused this word, and user experience is about what people feel about using your service, your product, your graphism, anything you design. It's been actually used into human interaction, I assume, because now digital, web, and all the technology have been quite growing really fast, and we don't know really how to interact with it. So we started to think about what is the user experience of the digital of this interface, and how to actually have a good relationship kind of between the machine and the human. And user experience use a user-centered method to especially design thinking. So what is user-centered method and what is design thinking? Design thinking is actually a human-centered approach, which is basically same than user-centered approach, user-centered method, same. But it's been created by IDEO, who is the leader into user-centered method in design. And Tim Brown, David Kelly, and Tim Kelly are the founder and CEO of this company. And they created the design thinking, but they created some specific tools to work with it. And so some specific tools to this approach, to the human-centered approach. And they focus on the idea to actually match the technology needs, the people needs, and the business needs together to actually design and drive through innovation, to innovate and to create new things. So design thinking is an approach. It's a way to see design, but it's a way created by a company, which is IDEO, and they created some specific tools for that. User-centered design is a global approach to design, so everyone can do user-centered design. You have some specific tools that match between each other, but it's the idea to actually focus on the people to create something that are meant for them, and the function is going to be for them. And user experience is, for me, an outcome. So it's the result of all this approach you are doing to actually create a great experience to the user for the service, the product you create, and also taking in consideration the business. So let's kind of have a conclusion, half conclusion. For me, a designer applies a user-centered process to improve the user experience. So that was my definition of design when I was younger, and I kind of tried to find words to put on it. So I'm going to go now through the two projects that we used the user-centered approach into to actually drive innovation. So the first one was with Homes Up, and it's a DIY company owned by a French group. And they asked us to actually enhance the connection between the physical store and the online shop, because they had this problem. Chinese customers actually buy massively online, but they didn't have any consumer in the shop, the physical store. So they wanted to bring the online shop customers into the physical store. And they wanted to adapt the shopping experience to the Chinese market, because Chinese people actually don't really... Chinese customers are not... It's not in their culture to decorate their house. It's not in their culture to choose any themes and bring it into the house, because it's seen as you don't have the money to pay someone to do it. So they had all this problem, and they asked us to find something. Basically, we didn't have any direction as that, to actually find something to help the customer, drive the customer through something, a new experience. And we did some user research that's a part of it. But we just found out, tried to match also the target audience with of the business to what the customers really are and customers' needs. And we decided actually to focus on the transportation area and the fact that people are playing a lot of games on their smartphones during the subway. They are all on their smartphones and just playing some stupid games, really addictive games. And so we just focused on that and decided to create actually a game and a web application for this brand. So this is the wireframe that we've started to create to understand what is the navigation, what we can do with that. That's one of the mock-ups. I'm going to go through the idea after, but yeah. So the idea is that the customers can actually download the application, go through the website, download the application, enjoy a game, just a really addictive game and some simple things that they can play during the subway journey. Get some high score and get some discounts through that. And then the discounts are actually only available on the physical store, so they can't use it online. So they are forced kind of to go to the physical stores to actually unlock some other mini games. So we create some kind of range of mini games, and then unjoin again and just join around cycle. The idea was that they gain some loyalty through play. So the higher the score a player attains, the higher they have discount, and they can buy online. They can buy on the store. The idea was also to actually give the customers so they will remember actually the product of IDEO, IDEO and HomeSup, which is different, but they will remember the product because they are playing with it. We created all the mini games with the specific product of this business, and then the idea was also to implement a personalized game. So when they actually sign in, they have this register. They have to choose between a collection of a range of products, and they are asked to see if they like it or not. And so they kind of create their own collection. And then it goes to the database of HomeSup, and they can adapt their products to product range to suit actually the Chinese customer. So if they see that one of the product doesn't actually suit any customer, they are going to just to change it or to delete it. So, sorry, I'm going to say this one. But so the idea was to really completely rearrange and provide a greater experience to the shopping experience to the Chinese customer. And it was really interesting to actually work on the Chinese market, which is completely different than what the European market. And so the idea to we had to also kind of educate them to the idea to choose an items for their home, and also adapt to their way of life, that's playing a lot and going during the subway. So that's user-centered design method applied to actually kind of a web app application. And I'm going to speak about a user-centered method applied to a product, so an object. We actually were asked to work on a switch, which is the most simple stuff ever. So we were just asked to find some new usage and interaction to switch, a simple switch. This switch was actually so the business had this switch and they didn't know really what to do with it, because now there's all the smart house, and a switch is kind of becoming a bit useless, and they had this wireless and batteryless switch that didn't really know how to improve it or what to do with it. And so that's the switch. It's actually, there is quite a lot of features. You can add different kind of action to it, and you can kind of play with it, but it's still a switch. So what we've done, and what is the main important things to actually user-centered design, is to well define the problem, your users, and because you're going to solve the problem of your users. And so kind of defining what is the situation, what is the situation of your project. We started to do some personal creation, so building some fictive people, and we decided to focus on elderly people, so something very specific. And so we just we played with Post-it, and finally end up with that switch, which is actually shape of a joystick, can be redesigned in another way, and but we focused on the idea of elderly people who have difficulties actually to move. When they come back home full of bags from shopping, well,
most of the time you just try to switch on or off with your elbow or just your back or just do some weird movements. Well, we thought that's pretty difficult actually. How can we improve that? Well, the joystick actually shape just made it easier. You can even throw a pillow into it and just like from your bed, just throw it. And so we just thought about that and just started to think about a bit more like largely the emergency situation where your hands are dirty, full, or you can't switch on off the light. And we created this joystick. And that was because we focused on the user situation, what kind of problem the user is going to have and how can I solve it. And finally, we improved the user experience of this switch. We've really improved the whole process, the whole journey. And so I'm kind of asking myself and asking everyone, is actually every designer a user experience designer? The design is aimed to actually, design the experience of the user, the experience of how we live. Thank you. I leave you with that.